Welcome back to the Gun Collective podcast. My name is Jon Patton, boys and girls. Got a great guest as per usual. Got a great guest this week. We go way back in the industry. But before we get to that, I got to tell you about our sponsors, Blackout Coffee and Vertex. blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Get yourself a discount. Get our Tenacity blend. You're going to love it. It's got a little bit of extra caffeine. It's low on acidity. It is the perfect way to kick off your day. And of course, go over to Vertex. Get yourself an EDC bag. I use their range bag all the time. Every time I go to the range, I grab the range bag. I've got the big one, and I keep all kinds of ammo in there, all kinds of mags. You name it, we use it all the time. And the code over there is at Vertex is vertx.com. The code is TGC. All right, Chris Bardugone, we go back probably 10 years or so. It's been a long effing time.
Yeah.
How are you? First of all,
I'm well, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. You know, I saw you put the post up, and I got into the whole podcast thing earlier, and we'll kind of explore it, I guess. But when I saw it, I was like, you know what? What a better time to catch up than obviously on your show. You know, I reached out to you last week, or when was it, last week, a couple weeks ago?
I don't know.
You know, to pick your brain on the whole van build thing, as I was down at a training class in Florida, and somebody had one of those Sprinter vans, man, and it was awesome. So I'm glad that we connected and we're here today. It's been a minute, since we've talked.
Yeah,
you're right. We have known each other for a long time, man. I still talk about you rolling up to IV 88 in that car one time, in that
Porsche.
Porsche.
It was the Porsche, what was it, Cayman? I think it was a Cayman.
Yeah. And then you had that I think that was when you brought that Lego build gun, yes. No, it's not Lego build, that's that short little unicorn.
Oh, it's not, you can't see it. It's normally right there on the wall behind my head, but I took it out shooting the other day. For context, the Porsche was a rental.
Yeah,
calm down.
Calm down, internet. Oh, the internet is a spicy place. In fact, dude, I think the last time it was. And I think the last time you and I were on one of these was another time we just lit the internet up and the spiciness happened, the round table.
Oh, that's gone.
It is.
So I took it off the channel because I was trying to figure out. It was massively downvoted for comments that you did not make, comments that other folks made, and I was trying to figure out if the like hugely negative videos were like weighing down the channel in a certain way, because we're desperately trying to get views as gun content creators. So I took it down just to see what would happen. And I mean, it wasn't like it was getting crazy viewership at the time anyway, but wow, what a throwback. So the last I remember, you were working for an ammunition company, and then we kind of got disconnected. What the hell have you been doing with your life since then?
Gosh, and I'm not sure which ammo company it was, because I did work for
the one
a couple
that starts
of them.
with an N.
Right. Okay, that one.
And then you got into some other stuff. You bought some stuff. You've been all over.
I have. So I did. I worked for Norma at the time, and then separated from them, and then ended up actually at Ammo Inc. And that role as the VP of business development, it started right before COVID. And we had this huge plan for the next year, and we were really going to, aggressively go after the market, and kind of solidify Ammo Inc.'s position in the market. And then COVID happened. And we didn't have to do any of that. As my role as a VP of business development, my job was to travel. And unfortunately there was no traveling happening.
Wait, they made people stay home?
Well, it wasn't.
What happened?
It wasn't so much they made anybody stay home, but you try to get a meeting with the buyer at Bass Pro or Cabela's or the Sportsman's Warehouse, and they weren't having it. So we couldn't travel, and Ammo Inc. made the decision to kind of eliminate all of the outside positions it was a smart decision on their part. They didn't need it. At the time, you couldn't pick up the phone and not sell ammunition as an ammo
Yeah,
manufacturer.
it was basically like you had ammo in stock. Okay, it's sold.
Right. And we had literally sold our entire inventory in a weekend. I can't remember the name of the chain, but we got like $5-6 million POs in a matter of hours, and it just sold us
Good
out.
God.
Yeah, it was nuts. Working in the ammo manufacturing business during COVID was insane. Like the POs we were getting, the production meetings that we were having every week to try and produce ammo was nuts. So they literally terminated me 2 weeks after paying me the first quarter's commission, which was I mean, I can't talk bad about them, and I wouldn't, because they were honorable, and they obviously they did the right thing there, and they paid me the commission, and then 2 weeks later they said we're going in a different direction and
Bye.
eliminating. Yeah, but so what's funny is that the commission hit my bank account the same day another large sum of money came in, and so I was sitting here like, well, what am I going to do now? Because companies weren't hiring. They
Right.
didn't,
Yeah, it was weird.
it was a really weird time. I mean, it was like in production, they were hiring, but not in sales. So I was like, okay, maybe I'll just take the rest of the year off and live off this, chunk of change that came in. And then shortly after I was contemplating that, uh, a guy named Xander reached out to me, who owned Clark Armory at the time. Clark Armory used to be one of my customers so the three ammunition manufacturers that I worked for was Polycase, Norma.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you were with Polycase.
Yeah. So Clark Armory was a lead-free online ammunition outlet, and they were one of my customers. And then I brought them over to Norma when I went to Norma, and Norma took over the Inceptor ARX line.
Right.
So I was his last point of contact, and he reached out to me, and he basically was like, hey, I can't do this anymore. It was a part-time business being run out of his house. He was the third owner of it, and it was just like pass-through income. And he could not get product. And so he reached out to me. He was like, I just can't keep doing this. He was like, any chance you want to buy this company? I was like, well,
I'll give you 50 bucks.
Well, I mean, it wasn't close. I mean, it was close to that, but it was, it was a negotiation. Like, he was like, this is what I think I have. And I'm like, I don't lowball me. I'm like, I'm going to lowball you. Because at the bottom, at the end of the day, it was still, you weren't able to get ammo. So when I started doing the valuation on the business, I started to reach out to people in the space. I'm like, hey, listen, if I do this, are you going to sell direct to me, straight to manufacturers? And it ended up, yes, I was able to buy from them. And so completed the process in September of 2020. And I took over operations and full steam ahead in the beginning of October.
Okay.
And the numbers that, I mean, the bottom line is the first month, I took every box of sample ammunition that I had collected over a course of time to put some stuff on there, as well as, buying other stuff, just getting as much ammunition as I possibly could to get the site back up and to get it stocked, because it was just empty. So, we opened up all lines of product coming in, and, we did a good fair share of business in the last 3 months of 2020. And I was still operating out of my house, and then 2021 comes, and I got a small little warehouse, like 1,700 square feet, office, operating out of it, product on the shelf. I had employees, and they're packaging boxes, and we were good. We were
like a
kind
real
of steady,
business,
like a real business. I was a real boy. And, like, we had a mailing list, and we were sending out emails every day. And then January 6th happened.
Ooh, okay.
And I remember waking up that day and looking at, because at that point everything was all new to me, right? Like, I get alerts on my phone, like my phone like rings every time a sale goes through, so I'm seeing all this. I woke up in the morning and I'm looking at the sales for the day and I'm like, what's going on right now? Like we were just, it was insane. It was absolutely
So your
insane.
phone's about to explode with sales. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much the sales that had already come in were more than I had done for the first month that I owned the business in
Wow.
one day. The sales that we ended up doing that month, January 2021, were more than the company did in its best year.
That's incredible.
Right. The first quarter of 2021 was more than the company had done since inception in 2014.
I mean, there are milestones and there are destroying milestones, and it sounds like you did the latter.
I mean, it was, and then, but as I've moved further away from that time, I realized that a trained monkey could have done that in that year.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no missing. So in halfway through 2021, I started to see those numbers kind of drop. It wasn't leveling out, but it wasn't as insane as it was in 2020, right? Pricing was crazy. Cost was crazy. People were paying $50 for a box of 9mm.
Just
And that's
insane shit.
It was. And, like I listened and I still keep in touch with all my, industry friends and the marketing guys out there. And I mean, there were guys that had never paid for ammo. They were like, I used to get ammo for free from this for doing these videos. And now it's like, they're like, I'm not paying that. I'm like, you're going to have to, because I don't think it's ever going to go down to where it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It was scary for a while there. It's like, what do we do to get ammo? Yeah. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm fortunate that I've always had a storage, but good God.
Yeah. Yeah. It was crazy. But then, I started to see the writing on the wall, and that eventually this was going to level out. It was never going to be like it was in 2020.
It wasn't sustainable.
It was definitely not, and I definitely made some dumb business decisions. I mean,
Okay. All right. You can't say that and then not tell me what you did.
Well, I mean, I moved out of a 1,700 square foot warehouse into an 8,300 square foot warehouse.
That's a big leap. Yeah.
That is, and I had planned to bring more in, and I kept trying to go direct with Vista and with all these companies. And, then we started to reduce the amount of inventory that we had. And now, I have all this warehouse. But I guess one of the other things that I did is I did see that I needed to pack a parachute, or, pack a backup chute, have a contingency plan. So in August of 2021, I started to reach out to my friend Aaron, who started and owned the company ZERT we just launched year 12 membership. So 12 years back, he had it. And so he was.
What is ZERT for people that don't know?
So ZERT, if you remember correctly, it started around the days of the zombie thing, the big zombie thing, when everybody was really talking about zombies. And it's funny because every time you say that, every year they release a new Resident Evil movie or a game, or there's still somebody talking about zombies. In fact, I think Hornaday still puts on a Zombies in the Heartland match.
I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So ZERT started with a buddy of mine in Vegas with 100 of his friends. And it was an acronym at the time, and it was Zombie Eradication Response Team. And it was,
brings me right back to the neon green everything of like 2011, 2012. Good Lord.
Which is right around when it started. I mean, we're in 2011 was the year that ZERT started, because we just launched year 12. So it started to grow, and it started to gain some notoriety because at the time, Jack Osborne, Ozzy's son, was involved with ZERT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So Aaron is, former military, and then did some executive protection work, and he did some executive protection work for Ozzy. Jack got involved. There was a pilot that was supposed to be out, I think, on Nat Geo, but it was surviving the apocalypse.
Okay.
And the pilot episode was about ZERT. Like they brought in families and they were like, okay, you're going to survive the apocalypse. What are you going to do? And it was all about being a prepared individual and a survivalist.
So
And it
sort of like Doomsday Preppers, but more focused on what you guys were doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then as the years, so that's really what springboarded the insane membership. To date, like if I were to go process a new order or a new membership right now, we've cycled through 26,000 members. We're in 41 different countries across the globe. And we have members in Australia, Switzerland, Italy, Spain. That's how big it grew at its height.
This is like, and I'm genuinely trying to understand this. This is like a club? Sure. Like what is, you say membership, what does that mean?
So the best way that I can liken it is to Harley Owners Group. So when you go buy a Harley Davidson, you can join their group and you get a patch and a booklet and a membership every year and a card. And then you become part of, or you can attend a local chapter, and at the chapter meetings, you talk about, whatever it is. You can go out and you can plan rides. ZERT's very much the same. Like you join ZERT and you get access to the network of members across the country, across the globe. And they'll organize and they'll do meet and greets where all the members will come in. They'll cook dinners. They'll do potlucks. They'll discuss topics like go bags, using tourniquets. They do range days.
It's very much a preparedness kind of thing, without calling it like preppers. I mean, it's in that vein for sure.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
How did you come to be involved? You said Aaron started it in 12 years ago. How did that end up with you involved?
So I had been involved from the beginning, but I was involved working for other manufacturers. So at the time, with Rand and with the other manufacturers that I worked for, we kind of partnered there. We gave them coupon codes. That was it. I never got involved at that time, more than just that, like kind of on a surface level, but a little bit underneath, just that first level.
Just trying to help them out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I joined the organization, but I did not join all of the groups. I wasn't actively involved because I was still navigating my way. ZERT eventually, kind of evolved where zombie became a metaphor for any man-made or natural disaster. Okay. So the bottom line is, if you're prepared for a zombie apocalypse, you're prepared for a hurricane. You have a generator, you have water, you have supplies to charge your phone, yada, yada, yada. How I got involved was literally during the height of COVID. And I was sitting with two of my reps from my distributor for Clark Armory, and they started asking about ZERT members because they would see them at all the shows, at SHOT Show, wearing the shirts, wearing the gear.
Okay.
And I was like, well, Jesus, if you were prepared for a zombie apocalypse, you were prepared for COVID, meaning you had hand sanitizer, you had toilet paper, you had ammunition, and you definitely had a plan if somebody tried to take your hand sanitizer or your toilet paper. And that's kind of how it's
funny that was like a real consideration. Say it sounds ridiculous, but like at the time.
Yeah. Remember people running out for toilet paper at the beginning of this? Like,
yes.
And we still
I
don't
remember
understand
shelves
why.
being empty, just empty.
And nobody can still tell us why. Well, like, how did that end up happening? But who knows? But so I obviously I saw a great opportunity, and it's a little bit more exciting and more fun than Clark Armory. I mean, Clark Armory is great. It's awesome to have ammo and do all that, but ZERT was more of an opportunity to do a little bit more, to get out on the range, go and meet people, go and try new things, and expand on a skill set that I've always had and always wanted to explore a little bit more. So when I took over, obviously we removed the acronym and it's now just ZERT. So it's like a word, just like Nike. There is no more. There's no more acronym. And as we talk to people about it, we remove that aspect of zombie. Because
do you think you're ever going to be able to shake that?
Um, Probably not.
Okay.
But there are people that are involved just because of that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
You
that's where
know,
it came from. That's
right,
the
right. And
genesis
so
of
it's,
it.
yeah, it's always going to be legacy, for it. But I mean, John, they went as far as like there's a comic book for it. There are
Holy shit.
action figures. There are ZERT action figures.
What are the do you like what does that look like? What does a ZERT action figure look like?
Oh, I mean, I don't know how to use all the functions and features of this platform that we're on, but I bet if you were to search the ZERT action figure,
Oh boy.
you would find it. ZERT. So just search ZERT action figure XP001. And maybe you can
Okay,
put
it
it up on
comes
the
up with a
screen.
bunch of non-ZERT looking. It's like full on tactical gear. I don't want to pull something up that I don't know is yours and show that and show it being wrong, but
I mean, if they're wearing full tactical gear, then that's it. They're an action figure. It's a 1/6 scale figure.
yeah, okay,
Black
hang on.
Ops toys.
I found it on Pinterest. Let's see if I can get this to share it. We got to figure this all out now.
Yeah, I don't know how to use any of these features.
Share
Sean
screen.
tried to show
Let's
me.
see. Let's see if that'll work.
Boom. There it is.
Yeah, so anybody watching, there is just a full loadout. And this is what you guys still sell this? Like what it says.
So there are some that are still available
Okay.
on Black Ops Toys. They are actually in the process right now of re-releasing Aaron's figure, older, probably uglier,
Okay.
but they are re-releasing I never, and
Wow.
I even told him, I said, I didn't want to go down that road, but it was huge. And John, so much so, NRA 2016, ZERT was in the Dewey Rods booth.
Okay.
When I was there,
Right.
members were coming up with their action figures for Aaron to sign.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, sign my figure.
That is forgive me if anybody listening is one of those people. That's fucking weird.
Well, it was
so
weird because
weird.
it was weird because he had to sign his own ass, but
Yeah. I think that would be strange to sign your own ass.
Yeah. So but it's a wild community, man. Like,
sure.
These members, they have connected over a decade. They met through this organization and they have maintained friendships on a global level.
Wow.
And so there is some, I guess there's some awesomeness to that, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And
I mean, community is great no matter what. If we boil it down, remove the sort of zombie flavor of it.
Yep. 100%.
And you've got just this global community, and that's pretty damn cool, especially when you're talking about preparedness and things of that nature. I think that aspect of it is really cool.
Right. And so, like Oklahoma is our largest and most active state right now. There's probably close to 200 members in that area.
Wow.
Yeah. And in 2022, the beginning of 2022, I kind of started a tour, and I told all of the state POCs, the point of contacts and the moderators, that if you hold a meet and greet and you give me at least 30 days notice, I will come out to them. And they all jumped on it. They all started scheduling these meet and greets, and they would have them at restaurants or wherever the case may be. And I would go out there and I would get to meet the members. So
what was that like?
It was awesome, man. It was awesome. And unfortunately, it's in my office, but like when I went to Oklahoma, they presented me with a bottle of bourbon because they knew that I liked bourbon. They all signed it. They all had their call signs on it. So what you see up on the screen is next to my name is my call sign. And you looked up the other one, XP001. So ZERT was broken up because it started to grow so large. It was broken up into what they call squadrons. And it's basically based off of your time zone. So if you live in the, Pacific time zone, you're part of the X squadron, and mountain and central is Y, and East Coast is Z. And then you get to Australia and it's like Q, and you have Ireland, which is R. And the number at the end is when you joined, like when your membership number is. So if you were to join tomorrow, you would be Z 26,855 or whatever that number is.
Okay.
So they all sign that. They put on a huge spread of food. Jack Rose is the state POC out there, and he's got this warehouse, which is part of his cabinetry business, and he hosts all these events, and people show up and they bring food and they sit there and they eat. And the topic of conversation was, I think it was go bags at that time. So it was bringing examples, showing what each bag could have in it, giving people obviously knowledge, and providing them some insight on the proper way to set up a go bag or whatnot.
So it's kind of like this sort of hive mind of preparedness. Is that accurate, or am I missing this? Like this, it's like a global mind of knowledge being shared and ways to do things being shared, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's providing access to that. So one of the things, and when we were talking earlier, I think we talked about, like our social media platforms, like there are over 330,000 people that follow the main ZERT page. Through all of the platforms, whether it's Instagram, social, Facebook, YouTube, we reach close to 400,000 people.
That's great.
It is great. It is, but like, what can we do on those kind of platforms? You put the wrong post out there and it's a problem. And then on top of that, each squadron has a private page. Each state has a private page. And then there are like supplement pages to all that. So if you're into overlanding, there's an overlanding and recovery page. If you're into archery, into reloading. So there's this giant.
Is this all like centered around like a forum? Like how do you get these people to talk together?
Unfortunately, it's all on Facebook.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And so you can imagine, like, I'll get a notification saying your post violated community standards. And I look and it's a post from 2014.
Right. And you have no way to control that and go back through all that crap.
Right. So, it's a little bit, I don't like the fact that it is on Facebook. But, until we can get a forum going again, it's where it has to live.
And forums cost a freaking fortune to run.
Yes. Yeah.
An absolute fortune to run and maintain. And then you've got to hope that all those members transition over to the new spot. Like, oh man, that would be a headache.
Yeah. But Jon, one of the most exciting things for me, which is why I wanted to really kind of get involved with it, was the training aspect of it. Firearm training is awesome, but medical training is, you carry a firearm, I carry a firearm every day. The chances of me having to use that are nil compared to me having to potentially use a tourniquet or apply some kind of medical training in a situation.
Yeah, even coming upon an accident, the example I always use is an accident. You will more likely see an accident than you will, a shooting incident. And I'll tell you what, the other night, I'm on my way home, there's a car sideways. It's dark and raining, car sideways on the PA Turnpike. The lights are like barely visible. And luckily somebody had already called it in and I knew it was coming.
Sure.
When I went across country, I saw a car that had just flipped onto its emergency response has not gotten there yet. And the car is on its roof facing the wrong way on the other side of the road. Jesus. Luckily, somebody was tending to it. It was fine. Right. Yeah. But you are way more likely to run into stuff like that in your day-to-day than a shooting thing.
Yeah, of course. And then the other side of it is just the survivalist piece of it, like being prepared for a situation where you are driving across country, your vehicle, whatever, you hit a deer, whatever, your vehicle goes off the side of the road, your cell phone is gone. Just imagine your cell phone being gone. And you ask people this, well, what would you do? Well, I would call somebody. Okay, take the calling out of it. You have nothing.
Yeah, what do you
How
do?
are you going? What are you going to do? Do you have a plan? Are you prepared for that? So that was what was really exciting. We put out a training schedule earlier this year. We had some classes. With anything, it may not be the right time due to what's happening in our country right now with disposable income and, going out and spending money on training, traveling, ammo. So it is a lot. So, we will look at what we're going to do with the training side of things next year. We put on a big event. One of the other things that ZERT did back in the day is the Outbreak Omega. I don't know if you remember the Outbreak Omega shoot. So it used to be put on by DPMS.
Oh my gosh. That tells you how far back it was when DPMS was relevant.
Yep. And then I think when they were bought out, it was put on one more year after that. And then ZERT took it over. And this is when it was up in Michigan.
Okay.
I think they had 600 attendees show up for Outbreak Omega 7. It was insane. Or maybe it was Outbreak Omega 6.
Okay.
But it was insane. And people, there's a video. If you search for it on YouTube, you'll find it. And it is the guys that show up to all of these events with that, the tactical gear. And it was a wild shootout. They had bays set up with cars. They had some kind of armored vehicle roll up, and
my gosh,
they are running out with cigars hanging in their mouth, shooting down range, smoke. It was a wild time. And there's a plan to put on events again. I would love to do that. I'm just trying to figure out how to manage all the time that I don't have.
What do you mean? You're not 9 people?
Yeah, exactly. So last year we put on in Oklahoma, it was called the Genesis Resurgence event. And it was a 2-day, basically a mashup of all of the training that we provide. And then at the end of the training, they had an FTX. So a final training exercise that used all pieces of the training that they learned over the day and a half. And that's when they got awarded their certificate and their coin for the event. So it was pretty fun. The members loved it. We are looking at doing 4 of them next year, instead of having, multiple classes a month. It's harder to get that done right now.
Yeah, I can only imagine that it's the economy definitely affects the special interest stuff in people's lives. It's just a huge thing. And speaking of the economy, I got to give a shout out to Blackout Coffee once again. blackoutcoffee.com/TGC. Go buy some of the Tenacity blend. It's beautiful. Try the blueberry crumble. That's a thing. Also, it's getting to be fall. We're that time of year. Chris, do you like hot cocoa?
I do, John.
I like hot cocoa too. And Blackout Coffee has some. They also do tea. If you're into that, use our code TGC. Save yourself some money. Chris, do you carry every day?
I do.
Perhaps,
carry every day.
Perhaps you would need an EDC bag full of your gear and whatnot. That's where Vertex comes in. VERTX.com. Use the code TGC. Save some money. Go get yourself some good gear. Stop buying bullshit. Go buy the good stuff.
Can we talk Vertex for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh, man. So I gotta say, I love me some Vertex stuff. I've been a huge supporter of them since I got into this. I remember it was one of the first shows that I had to do. I was literally right across the aisle from the guys over at Vertex, and I got my first Gamut pack. It was and Daryl Morrow from
old school. Yeah.
So he sent it to me back, and it was a prototype one, and I loved it. I now have, I think, 3 of the Gamuts. I love their Ready pack. It's actually my favorite. My favorite go-to right now is their Ready pack. Not the newer one. It was the last generation.
The 2.0.
Yep, the 2.0.
Yeah.
I got it in the coral blue, and it's orange.
That's funny. My version of that is sitting upstairs. I have that exact same bag.
Yeah. And what I love about Vertex is it goes back to, kind of going to the ZERT thing, to that prepared individual. There was a time when I dressed like a tactical Timmy, the cargo pants and the pockets, and I had all that. And now you can see the shirt that I'm wearing, and I got Hey Dudes on and a pair of jeans, and it's very, we talk about gray man, just kind of blending in. And that's why my backpack doesn't look like, it's got Molly straps on it and this, that, and the
Yeah.
other thing. I don't
Thank
want anybody
goodness.
to know exactly. Like, I don't want anybody to know that I'm carrying a firearm, that I have what I have on me. And that's what I love about Vertex. I mean, their gear has always been that. They have definitely evolved more into that. And I like that. So it's funny, but VTAC is working right now with Vertex.
Yep.
They have some
The
great
overlay,
products.
what do they call it? The VTAC stackable stuff.
Stackables, yeah.
I keep my tools in the van in that, and my medical gear.
There you go. And what's funny is when I was at Dewey Rods and we wanted to come out with that, and you have one of these, the field kit, the Dewey Rods field kit.
It's sitting right over here.
Yeah, and guess who made that pouch?
Really?
Vertex. And if you look on the tag on the back of it, it's got Dewey Rods, and on the back side of that tag is VTAC. So we all partnered together back then to put that together, which I love seeing that all that come into play. So yeah, that was a Vertex bag, little Vertex pouch. I still have mine. I love their stuff, man. I'm glad that you're working with those guys.
Yeah, they've been a supporter of TGC for a long time, and it's always super simple. Like it's so easy to work with them. I think something that's really fun is, like you were talking about, getting away from the tactical look. Yeah. And now I just went to Overland Expo Mountain West in Colorado a few weeks back. And I swear to God, the overlanding industry is just dripping in Molly attachments on everything, because they haven't found a good way to attach stuff to a vehicle.
Right.
Wait till they find M-LOK, right? It'll be it's like Molly straps everywhere. Your Tacoma has to have it. You've got this added panel, and I swear to you, it's on everything. And half of it looks like dog shit. Like absolute dog shit, because they haven't figured it out yet. They're going through the process to figure it out. There's guys that make bags and stuff, and the concepts are good, but man, I will say they have yet to figure it out.
Yeah. And they'll get there. I mean, it took, I mean, heck, it took me a while, and in fact,
I think we all went through that.
Yeah, we did. In fact, the pants that I'm talking about were Vertex pants. Like, it wasn't overly obnoxious with the pockets on the side, but they had the pockets on the side.
Right.
I mean, it's just, you
got
the guys.
I asked them a long time ago about why they're, like, every year it's or I don't know, maybe sometimes 6 months they're going to new colorways or changing designs. They're always tweaking and evolving, and I was like, why is that? Like, are you just needing to innovate? And it all stems from their clients that require not wearing tactical gear overseas. So they primarily like this idea of moving and changing, because what happens is you can spot a guy if somebody gets, quote unquote, like, outed as a, not soldier, but that sort of, that type of person, as an American, whatever, and you see other people using the same bag or the same clothes or something like that, you sort of give up your position. So the idea is to continually evolve and offer new colorways and designs and those sorts of things, on top of improving usefulness and whatnot. So the idea of evolving is 100% correct, because we saw it with the guys overseas.
Yeah. I will say that, I liked their clothes. I still like their jeans. And I still like their I think they're their Delta stretch pants. And I
love the Delta stretch. Yeah.
Yeah. And I still wear those. Their shirts kind of, I kind of got over their shirts. They do make I think it's the Henley shirt, which is like a 3/4 sleeve one.
Okay.
But when they started to put that, like, reverse Dickie on it, where it was the guard to protect,
I told them to stop selling that shit.
Yeah, I
I
don't
hate
get
it.
it. And they still like, I don't want to
I think they call it like a rash guard or something.
rash guard.
So the idea is like for anybody that doesn't understand, so you have say a button-up shirt or some other kind of shirt. It's got this like almost like a skirt inside it that is
Right.
meant to tuck into your pants. So it's like another layer of fabric inside your shirt all the way around, and it's meant to protect you if you're carrying appendix or whatever. Keep your skin nice so you don't have to worry. And yeah,
Right.
I don't like that
Yeah.
particular thing.
Not a fan of it. I mean, they had a shirt before that, and I had them in every single color. I had them embroidered for the company that I was working with at the time. Loved them. Maybe they'll listen. I know that they,
Well, so luckily
they
they make a bunch of other stuff that is nice. So like
yes.
that's only on a few of the designs. I don't want people to think that's on everything they
No,
make, but
no. Yeah.
yeah,
Y-
that's not when
Yeah.
that particular thing. I don't. Nah.
And they make some polo shirts, and I love their polo shirts. They are quality.
Yeah, they're very nice.
So real nice. Yeah, I'm excited to start wearing their pants because it's been hot all summer, and now it's
Oh my
starting to cool
gosh,
down.
dude! I went out this morning and it was
Yeah,
52 degrees when I left the house.
perfect.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's
perfect.
amazing. And
Yeah,
you're up
I
in
was.
leafer territory where it's already cold.
Yep. I'm up a little bit higher than you. I was actually supposed to be in your neck of the woods this coming weekend. I my One of my ZERT members, who's also one of the instructors, he lives in southern PA,
Okay.
and we were meeting in Jim Thorpe, PA.
Okay. Yeah. I just drove past there not long ago.
Yeah, we were going to do a moto camp. So he was coming up on his
Oh.
Harley. I was coming down on mine, and we were going to camp for the weekend. And unfortunately, the weather is not conducive to that.
No, it's going to be super duper shitty.
Yeah. So unfortunately, no camping this weekend.
Which you're camping from a motorcycle?
Yes, sir. Yes,
That
sir.
is not super common in the US. It's bigger in Europe. Can you expand on what that's like? Like you just
Yeah. I mean, so I ride a Harley, which is a bagger, so it's got two hard bags on the side, but you're not fitting a whole lot in there. It's basically I have everything that I'm going to need stuffed in, my pack, and then that pack is then strapped on to the sissy bar on the back, and that's it. So I was
minimal.
super minimal. Like, I mean, it was a 2-person tent, a sleeping bag, a cot, and then my sleeping bag, and then some cooking stuff, and some of those, like, I brought up some Ready Wise meals. It's just boiling water and put that in there. We can be hybrid when it comes down to it, because we do have vehicles, and we can take a ride to the store and cook burgers on an open fire in a pan and just eat them like that. But yeah, it's not, like, I've done car camping. Obviously you have your van, and you have a cachet of supplies that are always at the ready. Here you've got to basically understand what you're bringing, and know that for the most part that's it.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know that I could go from how I normally operate to only carrying that level of gear. Like, I think my clothing alone would fill up to your bags, like your hard bags. I think my clothing alone.
Well, John, that's the point, man. That's the point of taking that down a notch. And there may be a situation where you're not able to have all that stuff, and that's why understanding what where your level is, and then kind of trying to take it that next step above. It's funny. So I was recording a show yesterday, and one of the things in the military is basically layering. So you don't pack all of your clothes, you wear all of your clothes, and you can layer up or layer down based on the environment. Like, if it's warmer during the day, you take off the pants and you just wear the shorts underneath it. And as the weather starts to change. So in that situation, or this coming weekend situation, I had packed everything except for clothing, and I knew that I was going to bring basically one pair of pants, 2 pairs of shirts, 2 pairs of underwear, and a couple pairs of socks, and that was it. That was the plan. So I'm kind of bummed that we're gonna miss it because I really wanted to test that out.
So you also hit me recently trying to learn more about Sprinter vans and vans in
Yes.
general. Where is it?
Yes.
Have you gone down that rabbit hole yet?
No, man, dude, I have gone down that rabbit hole. I mean, I have a screenshot of a van done up, and you know, uh price on that van, I think it was like $175,000.
Do you know who
And it
made it?
no, I don't, but I
Okay,
can tell
okay.
you.
I would bet it's probably like Outside Van or somebody that like there are a few companies that do a really good job at sort of off-roady, adventure-y kind of vans.
Let me take a look and see if I have it in the screenshot here. The website was OVP.
Oh, Overland Van Project.
Yeah, Overland
Yeah.
Van Projects.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do really nice stuff as well.
yeah. And this was a 2020 Sprinter 4x4, 144-inch wheelbase, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Yep.
It had 24,000 miles and it was $170,000. And I was just like, my God, like
That's a lot of money.
it is a lot of money.
That's
It
a lot of
is.
money.
It really is. And then, when you and I were talking, it's funny because I have a picture from, I don't know when it was. It was probably back in 2016-ish, where it's a Sprinter van on big monster tires, and it was a 4-wheel drive one. And at the time, like I was telling you, my buddy works for the Sprinter
Yep.
division in Atlanta, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "Yeah," he's like, "Those are hard to find with that chassis, but you can get them done." And I reached out to him recently. I was like, "Dude, what do you got, man?" And it's it's tough because I went from that to somebody told me to look up, and I don't know if you've looked this up, but I think it's
Guaranteed I have.
Earth Roamers.
Yeah. So one of the engineers at Earth Roamer is actually a TGC
Oh
follower.
my
His
God.
name's Robert. Robert is awesome. Super good guy. And they I'm trying to get them
That's
to like
dangerous.
let me inside them in like the factory and just check them out. But those are stupid. For anybody that doesn't know what an earth roamer is, go look that up. They can get up over $1 million. They're
Yeah.
not all like they think they start at $500,000. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so
when do you buy yours?
exactly. So when I can come up with the down payment, I think that down payment was
As
like,
much as the van.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So but from there I then went and I searched that on YouTube, and I found a video of this couple that does some of
Kara
this
and Nate.
overlanding. Yes.
Yep.
And they got to like test ride one of these or test drive them and test camp in them. And when she was going through that thing, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. That kitchen is gorgeous. And it's
so nice. It's like they took a house and just put it in a trash compactor and made it tiny.
Oh, it was amazing. So, I go down that road, and I think I started to have this conversation with you. It's like tough to determine if you're going to go something like that versus something more rugged overlanding, like the SUV and trailer type situation. I mean, you see some of those, like those off-road campers that have like the huge high wheelbase and they're very survivalist looking, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I mean, we got a lot of other stuff to do.
I mean, there are so many different, it's like the gun industry. There are so many different ways to slice that pie. I could have gone with a big truck and maybe that'll be next, but get like a F450 and put it on these huge, like 40-inch tires and all this and put a camper in it and sort of build my own earth roamer. But I chose something that was more like adaptive it's sort of the in between of like it can go off-road, but it also does really well on the highways and that sort of thing. Like that was my perspective. It was like I need to kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And now that's not, obviously you're not driving that daily. Like you're just driving
I do.
that when you do. That's your
daily driver? Daily driver. A 24-foot cargo van. It's dumb. Trust me, I
that's
know.
okay. That's all right. I like some of the stuff that I've seen you do to it so far, like those lights up front. Like that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like
We're
those
gonna
big round.
they get wired up tomorrow. We're recording this ahead of time, but they're getting wired up tomorrow.
Oh,
So check
nice.
out the
Okay.
Battle Wagon channel if you guys want to see that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what was your idea behind looking at those vehicles? Are you trying to like have that so you can go to these ZERT events and like camp, or like what's your thought process?
So I mean, I've been looking at the camper situation for probably the entire summer, and it started with um uh a friend of mine on Instagram, and I started to see pictures of where she was kind of living, and it was on this beautiful lake.
Okay.
And when I reached out to her, do you know Sarah from Kit Fox?
I do.
Okay. So I started to see her pictures and I was like, that is a beautiful location. And when I reached out to her, she was basically waiting to buy a house and she bought this camper and she was given this little piece of land, not given, she was, her friends had this property and they let her put her camper there. And I'm like, I would never leave that. And I started to go down the road of like, Martin Riggs, Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon when he had his
Yep.
camper just parked on the side of the road overlooking the ocean. And she was like, yeah, but you don't want to be on this lake in the winter in Michigan. And I was like, okay, good point.
That's
But
fair.
right. So I started to think about reducing my footprint as far as not living in like a townhouse anymore and finding a place to park my vehicle and being a little bit more mobile. So that started the looking for campers, and then we did an overlanding podcast on the ZERT Coffee and Chaos podcast, and that's when I started to do some research. And obviously, I knew just by looking at your social media, I'm like, okay, well, Jon's got something, so let me pick his brain to find out, what kind of got him down that road versus the you know, towing a camper behind it or
Right.
driving a Winnebago and, using that. And there's way too much, man. It's way
The
too
options are
much.
kind of endless, and that's the good and the bad of it, is like there's so many ways to do it.
Yeah, there
But
really
I
is.
totally agree, being more mobile is a great thing, especially in our line of work when you can, somebody wants a meeting on the other side of the country. Well, if you can make the trip worth your time in some way, whether that's through just personal enjoyment or business, hell yeah, why not?
Right.
And COVID definitely taught us that airports and the FAA and all of these companies do not give a shit about us.
No.
They don't
Mm-mm.
care.
Yeah.
So why not take it into your own hands, right?
Yeah. Yep. And you just brought up a great point, and that's one of the things why we say to with all of this training and within the ZERT community is you are your own first responder, and you know you don't call the fire department if you have a fire and you like a grease fire in your house. You get a fire extinguisher or you put that fire out.
Right.
So like you said, if you can travel to a destination without having to worry about checking your firearms and TSA dealing
Oh
with
my
all that
gosh.
bullshit, why not do it and make an enjoyable experience out of it? I like that. That's kind of why I started to look down that road. And it's all there. It's all still up at the top, and I'm still looking at things, but
Right.
I got to be smart about it. And
Dude, I'm into my build a good way, and I'm still trying to figure stuff out.
oh, I
Like
bet.
so where you're at, I was at a year and a half ago. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it takes time.
Yeah.
And the concept of like, you could go hunt and then live, literally just fill your small freezer with even small game.
Yeah.
A deer would fill a van. They're like 100-liter type fridges
Yeah.
that a lot of guys use. Like you could fill that immediately with a whitetail and have meat left over.
Yeah. Now, are you going to build out the entire back
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
the
just
plan. Have a small kitchen. I'm going with an incinerating toilet, which is a whole nother discussion.
oh boy.
Um, there will be a bed, storage, full power, all that sort of stuff. Because I just want to be able to kind of go anywhere and be able to handle whatever situation. And if I have
Yeah.
all my gear with me, then I don't have to worry about where I'm staying, how much is a hotel, are rooms available, Do I have to catch a flight in the morning? Like,
Yeah.
how many times have you been on a business trip and you're hanging out with people and you're like, man, I really wish I could stay just like another half day.
Yep.
Imagine having the flexibility to do that.
Yeah.
Or that place over there looks really cool. I would love to see that. I'll have to wait till I come back. F
Yeah.
that. Just go.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Now, is your plan to take that out to Las Vegas?
For what?
Are you going to SHOT?
At this point, no.
Okay.
If I go to SHOT, yes, I'll bring the van. I don't know if I'll stay in it because it depends. Like I'm working on insulating it, wiring it. I'm basically building a tiny home, so I've got to have all that the stuff in the van to be able to do that. But
yeah,
I'm about to travel back to Colorado in a few weeks anyway.
Nice.
I'll just throw a sleeping bag on an air mattress, and because it gets cold at night in the middle of nowhere.
I bet. So do you have anything hooked up for climate right now or not yet?
So we just put the rooftop AC and a vent fan in. They are not wired up. The only thing that I have for moving air around is a little desk fan, and I hook it up to a tiny little jackery, and it runs on low for 8 hours before the battery runs out, and that's good enough to sleep.
Yeah.
But, it's about pushing myself and I know I know that you feel this when you start to talk about it. It's about going outside of my comfort zone, understanding what my capabilities are, and then continuing to push.
Yep. I love that. And that's kind of where this whole thing is about. And that's that's why I'm really interested in some of this stuff, whether it's through ZERT, obviously outside of ZERT with this overlanding, doing a moto camp with minimal stuff. I want to take that a step. Oh, dude, I want to take that a step further and do a full-on winter camp in the snow with minimal things. I mean, I've watched these guys do this.
Will your Harley do that? Can you take it out in the winter? Okay.
That would not be a Harley type situation.
Okay,
that would be just a park and hike into the woods, in snow and figure it out. I mean, I've been watching these other guys, that do this stuff, and it just blows my mind, man. Good stuff.
The capabilities of humans, it's kind of ridiculous. We don't know what we're capable of until we really get pushed.
Sure.
And you won't know until you actually push yourself, because the world is not going to push you yet.
No,
we're not there yet. So, how do people get involved with ZERT? If any of our listeners want to get involved, they want to, first off, tell them about the podcast and then tell them where they can join if they want to.
Sure. So we do have a podcast that we put out. It comes out every Thursday. It's done obviously on Spotify and Apple. It's on the Firearms Radio Network. So if you're already following that channel, you'll find the ZERT Coffee and Chaos podcast. And it is a show just about anything and everything relating to what it means to be a prepared individual and a survivalist in today's day and age. If you are interested in learning more about ZERT and what it offers, then you can head to zertnation.com and you can sign up. I mean, it's $49.99 a year. You get access to that entire network.
That's not bad.
No. And you get something with it. So you get like a patch, a t-shirt, a certificate, and then a gift every year. And we're looking to evolve that. But this year for the year 12, it's a challenge coin. Last year was a metal card. The members love their call signs on it. So, last year was a metal card. Year 10 was one of those Ridge type wallets.
Okay.
There's every year they get something with their membership.
That's cool.
So, yeah. So
that's cool. So definitely, if you guys are into that sort of thing, you want to learn about being more prepared, that's a great community to get involved with. It's been around for a long time, so you don't have to worry about it disappearing instantly, because I know that comes up.
It does.
Yep.
Well,
that's great. Chris, thank you for jumping on here today. And we'll have to revisit when you've got some sort of vehicle to move around the country, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything else you want to tell the TGC audience?
No, man, listen, I thank you for having me on here. And it's always a pleasure to connect with you and all of your listeners. So thanks for listening.
Fuck yeah, dude. I appreciate it. And of course, guys, check out our sponsors, Blackout Coffee and Vertex. We talked about them a bunch. I won't ring your ears about it. Thanks as always for listening and watching. We'll see you soon.